This is the Xiaomi 12 disassembly. If you want to see more videos like this, make sure you subscribe and follow me on Twitter so you'll be notified when I upload a new video. And if you need any tools, there are links in the description. First, the SIM tray needs to be removed. Next, we need to apply heat to the back plate using a hairdryer or a heat gun to loosen up the adhesive underneath, and then we're going to use a plastic pry tool to pry the back plate off. Here's a better look at the glass back plate. The glass camera lens covers can be replaced by applying heat and gently prying them off. Here's a look at the other side of the back plate. There are 18 Phillips screws that need to be removed. Once the screws are removed, we're going to lift up and remove this metal cover, and then disconnect the flex cable for the LED flash and light sensor. Now the top cover can be lifted up and removed. The wireless charging coil is located in the center, and there's graphite film on the front and back to help transfer heat. The LED flash and light sensor are located on this side, and there's a white graphite film over here on the top corner, and that also helps transfer heat. There are also antenna lines drawn on this plastic piece, which are those light gray colored lines. And here's a look at the other side. At this point, the battery cables need to be disconnected. Once the battery cables are disconnected, we can proceed to disconnect the rest of the cables. Here's a better look at the front-facing camera. There are 3 coaxial cables on the bottom right side of the board, which need to be disconnected by popping them off. Now the main board can be lifted up and removed. The 50 megapixel primary lens is located on top, followed by the 5 megapixel telephoto macro lens and the 13 megapixel ultra wide lens on the bottom. The primary camera is the only one with OIS. The camera connectors can be disconnected by just popping them off. There's a secondary microphone located on top, as well as the infrared or IR blaster on the top corner. And there's some copper tape over the shield. This is also a multi-layer board. Taking a look at the back, there's more copper tape on the shields, as well as some thermal paste, and the proximity sensor is located in the top corner. Once the copper tape is peeled back, we can see thermal paste on the RAM and processor, as well as these chips. Now the bottom speaker assembly can be removed. Here's a better look at that. And there's a mesh filter over the speaker opening, as well as a liquid damage indicator on the back, and the speaker also has those little white foam balls. The flex cable connecting the main board and subboard can be disconnected, as well as the screen cable, this flex cable, and the fingerprint reader cable. The white and black coaxial cable on this side have to be disconnected as well. Now the subboard can be lifted up and removed. The primary microphone is located underneath the shield, and there's a rubber gasket around the charger port. The SIM reader is located on the back of the subboard. There's an antenna board on the bottom right corner, and there's a flex cable connected to it, which runs along and is seated underneath the subboard and makes a connection there as well. The blue coaxial cable is also connected underneath this antenna board. The fingerprint reader is held down with some adhesive, as well as the X-axis linear vibrator motor. In order to remove the battery, there's pull tabs provided to help us pry the battery off. Here's a better look at the battery. Once the battery is removed, we can see this flex cable which also connects the main board to the subboard, as well as this large copper vapor chamber which sits underneath the battery, as well as the motherboard. And we can see thermal paste over here where the processor lays, and some here and here along the bottom. The flex cable for the power button and volume key is located here, and there's a plastic bracket inside the opening over here in the frame, so if you need to replace the flex cable or buttons, you'd have to lift up and remove that plastic bracket and gently peel off the flex cable. There's also another liquid damage indicator, which is that white sticker, and some more graphite film underneath the main camera. The top earpiece speaker and loudspeaker is also held down with adhesive, so if you need to replace that, you can gently apply some heat and pry it off. If you needed to replace the screen, you would have to remove the back plate, as well as the screws on the bottom and remove the speaker assembly. You would then disconnect the cables on the subboard and remove the subboard. At that point, you would heat up the front of the phone where the screen is to loosen up the adhesive underneath, pry your old screen off, apply new adhesive, reapply your new screen, making sure you run the cable back through the opening in the mid-frame, and reassemble your phone. For the repairability score, I give this phone a 7.5 out of 10. Now it's time to put the phone back together. Once everything's back in place, apply new adhesive and reapply your back plate. Flip over the phone, power it on, and you're done. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one.